Konnichiwa. I'm here with Barakulat Sensei.
And I'm here with Lopez Sensei.
And our guest today at the Marshall Mays Not So Evergreen episodes is B.Haskins Sensei at the UNA School. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Retired and enjoying life.
Now, for those, if it's your first time tuning in, our groundbreaking episode was done with this man, and there was a lot of reason for that, and it's kind of the reason why we have him on the show today. So we're going to be talking about Marshall Insights, and if it's your first time, you can tune in, catch him on his Facebook feed, and you can kind of get into where he tends to post Marshall Insight, and he'll answer and respond in real time. So yeah, so let's begin. So, how you doing?
I am well. Enjoying life, writing, training. It's totally focused on that.
All right. So, you recently posted something in your Marshall Insights that kind of touched base on something I wanted to talk about a little bit today, and it was you were discussing about, and if I have it the wrong way, please make the correction. That there are martial artists out there, martial arts instructors out there that are teaching things without really understanding the knowledge and the things that they are teaching, and sometimes might be even teaching something incorrectly simply because they've been shown that this is the way and that's the only way.
Well, let me expand off of the post. Pretty much was just what it does is I post things to open the dialogue between the martial community in reference to the concept or the basic understanding that our industry is the only industry that actually doesn't bring the student to the same information. What I mean by that is this: if somebody took, say, electrical engineering in New Zealand, and somebody here in Springfield took the same subject in Porter and Chester, when they graduate, they're pretty much going to have the same information. Mm-hmm. In the martial sciences, in the martial community, no matter what you study, say karate schools or aikijutsu or whatever, when you study karate, different forms of karate, two different practitioners from different schools come out with different information. Our industry is the only industry with that problem. Okay. I'm failing to understand why.
That's I guess that'd be my next question. Why do you think that is?
People, in my assessment, they're not really focusing on the information that the physicalness is designed to teach. They're too focused on the physicalness itself. Because ultimately, within, say, a judo school, mm-hmm. First let's establish this. Within the martial arts, generic term, martial arts, but within there, we have many different systems of the martial arts. Uh-huh. So judo being a system, aikijutsu being a system, karate being a system, and then there's different methods within each respective system.
I call that style.
Style, methods, all the same thing, mm-hmm. but within the respective systems. So there's many different styles or methods of karate. There's many different styles and methods of judo. There's many different styles or methods of aikijutsu. There's many different styles and methods of kenjutsu. Or you understand? So a system is the broad or the exact concept. Judo is a concept.
Yes.
And then there's different methods or styles of that concept. So with that being said, in karate, in judo, or whatever, if you want to cross systems, or if you just want to talk about one system and the different styles of, mm-hmm. right? There's balance is balance. And the human body has 8 points of off balance, 8 points of balance, 8 points of off balance. And to break it down a little further, so we have 8 points. We have straight forward, we have straight back, we have right and left. Then we have the corners, like right front corner, left front corner, right rear corner, left rear corner. That's 8 positions of off balance. The 3 front positions, that's straight forward, right front, left front. If the knee is in front of the toe and head's in front of the knee, you're off balance in one of those 3 positions. That's one dynamic to look for. Knee in front of toe, head in front of knee. In the back 3 positions, right rear, left rear, straight back, if your butt's behind your heel, head behind your butt, you're off balance in one of those 3 corners, right? Right and left, if your hip is on the outside of your foot, head outside of your hip, you're off balance. So that's 3 dynamics we're looking for, right? Or trying to create, or whatever the situation is, getting into Kazushi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the balance itself, those 3 dynamics are what you need to look for to understand what corner they're off balance in.
Okay.
Right? That's just basic information. And within different systems, there's different ways to teach that information, right? Within different styles, there's maybe different ways written in the curriculum to teach that information, but the information is the information, and everybody should know that information. The problem is, you talk to some martial artists who reached the summit, ideally, of the mountain, the martial mountain, who don't understand that information. So we got many different people traveling up different paths to the summit, but some are reaching there without having the basic information that these physical demonstrations are supposed to teach them.
So, okay, so if I'm hearing and understanding you correctly, jump in if you like. I'm sorry, I don't want to monopolize. What I hear you saying, though, is that they're still making it to the top. Now, I'm kind of confused. Are you saying is they don't understand the information in order to teach it to someone else? I mean, because clearly at that point, I'm just playing devil's advocate, that if they made it to the summit, if you will, right, using the air quotes, summit, if you will, then at that point, then, you know, it's like, well, I made it here doing it this way. Why would what you're saying even matter?
We're all supposed to have the same information.
Okay.
Because
it sounded like I'm being goofy, but
no, it's basic information that everybody should have reaching the summit, and the summit being, you know, in some circles, you know, 3rd degree black belt or black belt or whatever level you're supposed to be at that level, and understand that basic information that electrical engineering gets you to allow you to go out and do your job.
I guess that's.
I like exactly what you're saying. You know, when we talk about the mountaintop varies. It's different. It's relative. So what will be considered a mountain to you, he may be on a bigger plateau, or a lower plateau, like you said, as far as the levels of understanding. Well, you should know this at Sana, but you don't know this. Why is that?
So no, I guess that's what I'm saying. Is okay. So we're talking about electrical engineering, and I'm not going to begin to start talking about electrical engineering because I really don't know electrical engineering. But I get what you're saying. So I'm going to bring it to something tools. We talk about this all the time. We always talk about tools, right? And we know that a standard hammer has a hard end, you know, the back end, you know, the one to pull off the nails and stuff. And we have that no matter who I am, no matter where I come from, right? No, what art that I, you know, have, I'm using that as the metaphor, I have that basic understanding. And what I hear you saying is that even though I use the hammer, I use the hammer and I nail it into the wood, but I might not understand what the back end of that hammer is. I might not understand what the shaft is used for. You know, I might not understand any of that. All I know is that it bangs and nails. Am I saying that correctly? So I guess if I'm missing the greater understanding, which would be to understand what that back end is, or how that shaft is used. Case in point, understanding how we'll get back to the judo because that is my strong suit. If somebody doesn't really understand that, look, you break the balance by getting the head, the tip here, which keeps this back here, and which you have to be over the knee, the foot, you know. No, it might just be, well, you know, you're just pulling him to the right rear corner, your right rear corner from your perspective, you know what I mean? And you're still going to get the same desired effect, as opposed to somebody who can break it down and say, hey, look, no, this is how you get there. These are the steps, and this is why this happens. So I guess in a roundabout way, I'm saying that what I hear you saying is that there are some folks out there that don't have that complete set of knowledge, but they're still making it to the top.
Well, if someone has an electrical engineering degree and they don't have a lot of information that would make that degree valid, is the degree really valid? You understand?
Oh yeah, see, that's what I guess that's what I'm getting to.
As far as the martial community, for conversation's sake, I talked about the Marshall Mountain. A lot of people use that analogy. I personally don't like that analogy. I like the root analogy. That's more accurate to the quality of martial artists out here today, because you can travel up Route 20 and you can stop anywhere along that route and be comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
As opposed to the Marshall Mountain, when you're trying to get to the summit, you know, either you're at the summit or you're not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you're faking like you're at the summit, taking selfies, I'm at the summit, and somebody really at the summit is taking selfies, you can see there's no trees at the summit. Why's that tree behind you? Because the guy that was really there that had to be airlifted down after he made it, you understand what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, see that,
So,
yes, now, yeah, okay, now I
on the route, Route 20, you can stop anywhere and be comfortable. Anywhere and be comfortable. You can set up shop anywhere you want to be and just be there. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I got to tell you, I might have to adopt that in. I like that. That actually makes complete sense.
But if you leave Springfield and want to get to Boston, right? Say Boston is that summit of the route. Everybody's going to know when you're in Boston.
Yes.
People are going to know, no, you're in Sturbridge. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I agree.
See, so I like the route analogy, and I speak about that in a couple of books.
Okay.
You know?
No, I agree. I agree with that analogy myself. You know, the first stages with all my students, we start at the chi level, and that's the earth level. That's your foundation. Without that, you're nothing. You're building on quicksand. So I agree with that 100%. Now, on top of that, just like mathematics, we have our, you know, our core principles. All right. Now, how you teach that principle can vary from instructor to instructor, and that's what makes the art itself. You know, math is done differently in India versus how kids learn math here, and how they come to their answer. Same thing in China, how they calculate.
I'll go so far as to say this. That's what makes a teacher a teacher. A teacher is not someone who could just pass on information. A true teacher is one who can write the curriculum to pass that information where everybody can understand it.
Yes.
That's the process of being a teacher. You understand? So in order for someone to earn a teacher's license from me within the Underground Alliance Martial Science Research Association, they have to present to me their curriculum and explain to me how this curriculum works.
But they can't really be regurgitating what you've told them.
Well, here's the thing. I always tell my guys when I get a beginner in, I tell them, one of the first things I tell them is, all right, so if I feed you steak, it's very important that you regurgitate steak. If I feed you steak and you regurgitate oatmeal, you're not getting the point. You understand? Once you feast off of what I fed you, then you can become your own chef. You understand?
Well, yeah, I'm like, yeah, you started with
want.
T-bone, but now I'm going to ribeye.
No, what I'm saying is this. It's very important that if I present a lesson a certain way, then you have to regurgitate it back to me that way. That lets me know that you understand it. Because the way that I word things, it makes it easy for everyone to understand, right? Layman or professional alike. It makes it very easy for them to understand, and I speak to that person's level. So when they get regurgitated back to me and then physically show me what I'm talking about, I understand that they understand it, right? So then if they later on decide that they want to start teaching, I ask them what they want to teach. Do they want to teach my methods or do they want to teach their own? They make the decision. If they say they want to continue what I'm doing, then they must regurgitate in their class exactly the way that I teach. If they want to teach their own, they write their own curriculum and they show me it so I can help them understand, okay, see, this doesn't make sense, you understand? Or show me what this is doing. And they jump and I go, okay, well, that's how you see it. That's how you can express it, not a problem. But if it doesn't match up, I'm going to help them, guide them into understanding how to write this in a better way so people can understand it, you know, and they can perpetuate the information through their own way.
Well, it seems to me, I guess, you know, again, because I'm playing devil's advocate today, wearing the black hat, literally. But it seems to me what you guys are both saying is the same as math. Math is math is math. You know, no matter whether you're doing Common Core or you're doing the memorization, because that's how we all learned math when we were younger, you're still going to arrive to the same answer, right? And that's never going to change. And the formulas are still going to be the same.
Somewhat. It's how you get there. How do you get there? You know, and that's why the teachers always say, show me your work.
But yeah,
you know, so sometimes, hey, you can have two different ways of getting it, like in algebra. You know, like when I talk to my son, you know, he learns in one way, one formula, one way, and then I show him, hey, I'm going to show you how to simplify that formula. And you don't have to put the time symbol, just use a dot, maybe parentheses, you know? And so, but his teacher told him,
that
you should put the
version,
times,
yes.
because that way we understand what it is. And I say, okay, yes, but you need to also understand there's other ways. You know, and it makes it more easier. So it depends on.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I guess what we're talking about today is where one can always argue the journey, you know, the different parts of the journey and how we get it, hence the different parts of a mountain. But in the end of the day, if you're not, if that information when you get to the top is flawed, then you didn't you didn't get there. I think that's kind of what
or some people
we're all saying.
Some people can do it in their head and get the answer, but don't even know how they.
Well, that's what I want to address. I'm talking about folks that make it and somehow get there. They somehow make it to the summit, but they don't really understand how they got there.
Well, so the moral of the story becomes this: some people, there's people who can never articulate it well. They might not be designed to be teachers. You understand? They're not designed to be teachers, but they're good at what they do. Maybe they go and they're able to survive the most violent encounters using the information that they learned. It's part of them. They understand it, but they can't articulate it. You have some people who are great at articulating it, but really not good at, and they're just good teachers, but they stay away from the street. They stay away from competition. You have some people that are better in sport than in the street. You know, there's all different types. There's different stations in that. And recognizing that is the key. But within the martial community as well, you get a lot of people who are not good at self-defense aspects because there is a difference. You know, if I got a firearm, which is a deadly weapon, right? But I use it for sport shooting. The principles that govern the use of this deadly weapon for sport are totally different than the principles that govern the use of this weapon for self-protection. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Now let's replace that firearm, deadly weapon, with the term martial arts or karate or whatever system of karate or of martial arts we want to discuss. That's a deadly weapon. You understand? The principles that govern its use for sport are totally different than the principles that govern its use for self-protection. And people don't understand that. Right. So what they're doing is they're in their schools teaching some woman, some some man who's a cop on the street or whatever they got going on, some military man sporting applications for this deadly weapon, as opposed to the principles that they need for self-protection. And they're convincing these people that, no, this will work for you, which is very bad, because second place in the fight to the death is detrimental to your health.
Yeah. Second place.